Okay, hello everybody. Today, I'm listening to the news. We got all this stuff going on with the corruption about the election and what have you, but I keep listening to the talking heads and I hear people over and over referring to America as a democracy. I even heard our own president calling America a democracy. And, I just want to say, we know what a republic is and what a democracy is, and we know that our founding fathers had no intention of America being a democracy. We were formed as a republic, and there's a great difference between a democracy and a republic that we need not forget. Never. We can't forget. Now, I'm just going to reference some things real quick. To understand where it lies, we would need to go and look at what's known as the Federalist Papers. And the Federalist Papers, number 10 by James Madison, gives a great understanding of the difference between a democracy and a republic when you take into consideration what he's saying and you understand the Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. You see, you have to understand the full framework of what our founders established this nation as. So we're going to touch real quick on each one, and we're going to pay a little bit of attention here. We're going to look at our Declaration of Independence. I'm going to read a little bit from the Declaration of Independence so we get an understanding of what I'm trying to say. It says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Now, on this basis of the first part of our Declaration of Independence, I would like to point out that the Democratic Party assumes that America should remove its borders and that everyone is welcome here. Obviously, it appears the Democrats have never read the Declaration of Independence, because in that first paragraph it makes pretty clear to the whole world that we are telling them that we are forming our nation by our principles, our values, and that we are securing ourselves under those principles and values, and we do not want to be a part of anyone in the world, that we are separating from them, and that if anyone wants to come here, they have to assimilate to that of the principles and values of which we have established as our American way of life. Understand that? The Democrats don't seem to understand that, but I just wanted to make that point clear. And then I want to put down, it says here, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now this is the important part. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. That's a very important statement, because that's what forms a republic. You see, the difference between a democracy and a republic is authoritarianism. Now, in a democracy, or a democratic state of which makes up the majority of the world's forms of governments outside of the United States, and being that America was the founders of the true constitutional republic. Okay, and it's our principles and values are unlike anything else in human history that we know of. Okay, we've had people attempt this like in ancient Greece. We've had people attempt this like with Israel. We've had people attempt this in the past with like the Magna Carta. But no one has ever actually succeeded until 1776, when America actually did it. And we actually laid out the form of what we were going to do. And this makes it clear that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Now understand, this is the difference between a democracy and a republic. These parts here you have to understand, all related to that of what, when we look at the Federalist Papers and we listen to what James Madison is saying, you have to understand the Declaration of Independence, and you also have to understand the United States Constitution. Now, in the United States Constitution, most know the preamble was, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Now, there's several important points I want to point out about the preamble here to our Constitution. One, notice that it is we the people. That's the republic. You see, that's the republic. We the people are the authoritarian part of our nation. As a unified single people of one people of all equal, we are the governing authority. Any government that we have is consented to by us, and they're subject to the rules of what we lay out in our Constitution. Another part of the Constitution I want to point out too is that so everyone understands, because there seems to be a large majority of Americans who feel, they don't want to get involved in politics. They don't want to, talk about politics. They don't want to say, well, I have news for you. When you read the part, it says here that we are to promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And it starts out, we the people. We are self-governing people. We are a government of the people, for the people, by the people. Okay? And that right there, that requirement, has been upheld for now 244 years, and preserving this Constitution, this way of life, this republic, for that of the posterity. That's my children, my grandchildren, their children. That's the future of America. And we have a right, we are born with the obligation to preserve that for that posterity, as it has been preserved for us for the last 244 years. Each and every one of us is born with that obligation. Now, these are important things I want you to remember. Now, when we're going to go back and take a quick peek at some of the Federalists, and I want to go over something that was said by James Madison, and his Federalist paper number 10 is the one you would want to read. And if you read this and you understand the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, you'll understand what he's saying. Now, he points out here about this. I'm going to read this. Hence it is that democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and in general have been short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths. A republic, by which I mean a government in which a scheme of representation takes place, opens a different prospect and promises the cure for which we are seeking. Now, I'm going to explain to you, because we hear all these people, and I've even heard the president, and I hear so many people on the news, and a lot of Republicans even saying, the democracy of America. Look, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. And I'm going to explain the difference. First off, I understand that where the mistake is being made, and is that in the order of government. Under a democracy or a republic, there could be a Congress, there could be a House of Senate, there could be a Constitution, there could be a set of rules of how each conduct. There can be elections, but there's a big difference between the actual foundation of a democracy versus that of a true constitutional republic, is what America was founded as. And that lies within authoritarianism. Understand, this is very important, authoritarianism. Okay? In a democracy, though the people get the right to vote, and it appears all the same as what the American Republic is, within the form of government and its establishment, it all appears the same. But the difference lies in this. In a democracy or a democratic state, or a democratic democracy, anything involving a democrat or a democracy, which makes up that of 90% of the world's nations around us that are nothing of like America as a republic. Those democracies have the government, the self-elitist government, the government of its own authority, has authority over the people. The people may get a right, like in Great Britain, they can vote and they can elect parliament, they can elect people, but in truth, who are the people they're voting for? They get to vote for the people that those of the already established majority of the elitists give them to vote for. You understand? They get to vote for who those people give them to vote for, and then once they elect those people, the people no longer have a say. They're subject to whatever the authority that they elected now considers to be in the best interest of the nation and the people. They have no say. Whatever the government now says is what's going to be, and yet they have no say. That means the elected body of government in a democracy is the authoritarian power over the people. This is what you need to understand. Now, in a constitutional republic, is like what America was founded. Here is where the big difference lies. And like I say, if you read the Declaration of Independence, you understand that we state that it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. You understand that we, the people, are the government. We are the head top authority. And our government is subject to that of our consented authority and powers we give them. and they are subject to the rules of what we lay out in our Constitution. The government did not give us the Constitution. The government does not give us our rights. We declare our rights God-given and self-evident. Understand this. This is very important. The government does not say, well, we're the government, we're going to let you do this, we're going to let you... That's not how our government works. Our government is there to serve us, the people, by that of our consent. We give them consent to what authorities and powers they will have and what they can and cannot do. They don't give us consent to what we can and cannot do. It doesn't work that way in America. America is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. We, the people. That's the republic. The government itself is an entrusted body that is there as a task handler that we charge with what we want it to do. Build our schools, build our roads, build our courthouses, build our ports, make sure our Navy, our Army, and our Air Force is very well equipped to protect our nation. That's their job. The only laws as well under our Constitution that we declare that this body of government can enforce or impose are laws which further strengthen and secure our declared rights. You understand? They're not supposed to make laws that dictate what we can and cannot do as people. We have a right to the free pursuit of our happiness. Unrestricted. Okay? As long as it's within the confines of reasonable non-criminal nature, if you understand what I'm saying. We can make laws to avoid for criminal actions, but and what's a crime? But those criminal actions must be something that is in violation of the Constitution and the rights that we declare. For instance, people have the right to life. So if you go kill somebody and it's not in self-defense or for a justifiable reason, well, you're going to be charged with murder. That's a crime. Your life will be taken. You'll serve life in prison for that or be put to death. You see, that's the price, and that's what our penal code's for. We set that rule because that's a deterrent. If you didn't have a deterrent, people might want to just go kill people every day, and they would get away with it. But that's a deterrent. But the main point I'm trying to make is about Republican and democracy. So let me not get off track here. Now, understand, in a republic, we the people are the authoritarian position of power. The government is there by our consent and can only do what we consent for it to do and only has power for what we give it. Okay? Whenever the government is elected, appointed, or works for us, they're required to take an oath to uphold and defend the United States Constitution above all things. Whenever the government representatives that we elect act outside of that, they are now in contempt of the Constitution, and they should be expelled from the government and removed and banned from ever holding public office again. The problem we have is with Democrat and Republican, Democrats have always been the treasonous traitors within. That's from the very beginning. They're a platform that they sell out our government and our way of life to that of foreign interest. They're the ones where foreign interests get to come in, infiltrate our nation, indoctrinate our posterity like they have been doing now for the last 50 years. And anyone who would deny that is totally insane when you look at the fact that we have the American posterity right now so confounded they don't even know what sex they are. They don't even know who they are. They have no identity. And they're literally in our American streets of our constitutional free republic screaming out for a socialist state. Clearly, we have let things go too far. And only a damn fool would try and say that's not true. But to the point of what I'm making here, this government has no authority to dictate over us what we can and can't do. It is there by our consent. The difference between a republic and a constitutional republic or a democracy is that in a democracy, the government is the authority over the people. In a republic, the people are the authority over the government, and they are the government. You understand? In our nation, too, it's set up in such a way where we don't have, like in a democratic state, with majority rule. In America, like when you look at, say, the Senate, there's 2 senators per state. Okay, so you have California, or you have, let's just hypothetically, California's got, say, 100 million people, and Ohio only has 200,000 people. They both still only have 2 senators. So when there's a vote, Ohio has the same weight as California. You understand? You see, so we don't vote by a population of a specific area, and where by population of majority rule or mob rule, they could dominate and force the nation into that of their wanting over what the rest of the nation might want. We vote on everything as complete as a full nation, which keeps an equal balance between us all. You understand that? And that's the way it has to be. That's what keeps us, the people, in control. Okay? And when we hear the government right now, like the Democrats, representatives, or even some of the Republican representatives, saying, well, this is what we're going to do in relation to your Second Amendment, and this is what we're going to do in relation to your First Amendment, and this is how we're going to handle the issue going on with this and that amendment. Well, listen, in truth, they have no say about what to do with those amendments. Our government is not there as a self-representation of its own authority. It's there by our consent. And our representatives, when we elect them, are not there to act of their own representation of that of their own authority. Every representative, including congressmen, are supposed to be, they're supposed to be canvassing their district and their states to get their voting public's opinion about every law and every bill and every matter that the government must address. And by each one of the senators and each one of the representatives, what they carry back to the House and the Senate is that of the opinion of their constituents who voted for them and elected them. They don't get but today, when you watch these people, especially with the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi tells everyone how they're going to vote on a matter that's coming, if they're going to vote for it or against it. And no matter what the constituents of their district say, those people do what Nancy Pelosi says, not what the constituents who elected them say. They don't even ask the people what their opinion is about the rules or the laws that they're voting on. They don't care. And that's a democracy. You see, they're acting as a democracy. They're self-appointing themselves an authority over that of the people of their own districts who elected them. And they're acting as if, like Great Britain, a democratic democracy, and where once the party of government is elected, they are the authority over the people rather than the people being an authority over them. In a republic, we're a republic in the United States. It's not supposed to be that way, and that should not be tolerated. The problem we have is that even that of Republican representation don't seem to know what the difference is between a republic and a democracy, and they sit there and allow this to go on. And then they themselves take part, because I hear them telling us what they're going to do about our constitutional rights as if they have been consented anywhere. I want to know where in the Constitution do you, of any congressman or anyone of the Senate or the House of Representatives, you tell me where in the Constitution we have given you individual consent and power to tell us what our rights are. You don't have that authority. You don't have that power. You did not draft that Constitution. That Constitution states clear, we the people. You are of the elected body of government, and you are part of the people, but you are not the people in the matter of who get the say. The voting public of who elected you is who gets the say. You carry back the opinion of the people, and you vote and you cast opinion of that of the people who elected you and put you there to represent us. You don't go represent of your own accord, of your own opinion, of your own personal wanting opinion. You can express that, but you represent that of your district, of your state, of the people, not yourself. That's how this government works as a republic. And you seem to have forgotten that. The entire government seems to have forgotten that. But we the people must not forget that. And we got to take our place as the people, and we have to start enforcing the rules as what they are in our Constitution, because we can't allow what's going on to happen anymore. But the most important part of what I'm trying to get across is that of a republic and that of a democracy, and how we are not a democracy. Understand, it lies within the authoritarianism of the form of government. The process of government, as far as a Congress, a Senate, a House, the committees of rules and how things work and function and how they vote and whatever, that all can be the similar, exact same way of form in government between a democracy and a republic. The foundational point, again, of the difference is that in a democracy, once the public votes in the government becomes a self-authority over that of the people, so that whatever the government decides is what's going to be no matter what the people want or say. In a republic, the authoritarian position lies with the people. They elect a government that operates by the consent of the people, that have power by that of what the people consent to them to have, and they're subject to that of their constituents who elected them by their opinion, not that of their own. The government itself is not an authoritarian part in the United States of America's constitutional republic. The people are the highest authority in its government. It's a government of the people, for the people, by the people. Understand? And the representatives are simply members of the people who are elected and entrusted to carry the will of the people to Washington in all decisions being made for us, the people. We're supposed to be the ones making the choices telling the representatives and the congressmen what we want them to go to Washington and say for us. They're not supposed to go there of their own free nilly accord and do whatever the hell they please. But that's what we've been letting going on because we become a lazy people and we're not taking our place as the people. But we need to. But I just wanted to clear up real quick, and I just want to say that what I think, if anybody wants to understand a better understanding, read the Federalist Papers. I would focus on James Madison's Federalist Paper number 10. That, he really goes into in depth there about understanding the difference between a democracy and a republic, and how we are not a democracy and how we are a republic. And understand that the difference lies, again, I'm trying to make this as simple so everybody can understand. In the world, the majority of governments are either democratic states or democratic democracies, or just pure democracies. And as such, they're totalitarian regimes, dictators, supreme leaders, pharaohs, demigods, monarchies of kings and queens, and they have authoritarian position with those of the self-proclaimed elitists as the authority within the governing power. The people are subject to that authority. That's a democracy. In a republic, the authoritarian power rests with the people, not the government. The government is subject to the authority of the people in all matters in a republic. That's the difference. You understand? They do not have a self-proclaimed authority unto themselves. Though our government is starting to try and claim that, and they're trying to act as such, by doing so, they are in contempt of the Constitution. And any government that does that, this is where we're failing, because in the House of Representatives or the Congress with the Senate, if any of our elected officials see someone acting out in such a way, like when you have somebody who says they're going to take away that Second Amendment, they're going to get away, what authority does the Constitution give you to even think you have that right? Because you didn't write the Constitution. The Constitution is not there for you to willy-nilly and do what you please with it. The Constitution is the rules of what you must abide by as a consented to government, of which we the people have given you the powers and authority under the rules of the Constitution. You don't have the power to tell us of our constitutional rights that we declared what you can and can't do with it. You have no right to do anything but secure those rights as you promised to do in your oath. And when you decide to start playing an authority and where you think as an elected official you can take our rights from us, or you can alter or infringe our rights by your actions of elected position, you're in contempt of the Constitution, and at that moment you should be expelled from the government in your elected position and barred from ever holding political position again in this country. We should not be tolerating this kind of abuse of power in our government, because this is how we wound up where we are right now. This is how we are where we are right now. The last time that we allowed the Democrats to push this far and get away with this kind of tyranny, of which they even did back then, with the same thing with stealing elections, doing this whole thing with certain states, and where they manipulated states into a majority rule position with them, and they formed the Confederate slave states, and they seceded from the Union, and they caused a civil war in this country. And now they're about to do it again. And ever since that time even, the majority of all corruption within elections have been by the Democrats, because for the majority of the American people throughout history, we knew they were no good scumbag tyrant traitors to this country. They've always been. And the only way they can get an election is to steal it. And that's the way they've been doing it. And then they go ahead, and now, like I say, when we look at what's happening today, it's a scary threat. And if anybody is denying this, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. Because it's a fact that the Democratic Party has been a platform for the foreign communists of China and that of the totalitarian regimes of the Islamic States to be able to come in and infiltrate our government from the lowest levels of county and city positions, like from the chief of police to a mayor to county commissioners, up to state senators, up to Congress, and even up to the top executive levels of president in this country. Foreign interests have been able to come in and take position in our own government through the Democratic platform, that they are opening that door for foreign interests. And this is how they're all rich now. This is how they're all getting paid. Foreign interest is paying off these people for access into our nation, into our government, to be able to infiltrate and indoctrinate that of the American posterity and society with that of their foreign interest. And we're allowing this. It has to stop. It has to stop. And now what we see is it's just disgraceful. Because it's pretty clear this election and the corruption that's going on right now with this election is complicit with that of all the major media outlets, the news outlets, and it's pretty clear that the interest of that of foreign interest is major investors in all these outlets, and they have major mass influence on all these people involved. And right now there's a lot of people who are committing treason by aiding and assisting in this corruption that's going on. Mark Zuckerberg would be one. The head of Twitter would be another. These people who are using their social media platforms to aid and assist in this corruption, at some point when this is resolved, they need to be held fully accountable and made an example of that will deter anyone. Because, even like when I look and I see about, right now they have the Associated Press, who is confirming how things are going. The Associated Press says that Biden's the winner. Associated Press is trying to secure the American people that elections throughout this country have been secure throughout all the processes in the past, and we have nothing to worry about, what have you. Mind you, the Associated Press was charged both in World War I and World War II with aiding and assisting in the propaganda of our enemies. And how we need to get really tight on what the press can do as far as with integrity. Okay, we don't have to limit the ability of the press to report or do its job in reporting and its freedom of right, but we do need to have rules that they can't lie, they can't be deceptive, and they can't propagate lies to the public of the American people that leads them to be deceived. As far as within political matters of what's of great importance to that of the effects of how it'll have on our American posterity. These people are playing our government as if it's like a football game here between Democrats and Republicans, and they're literally right now playing with the life of our nation and our freedom and our liberty and our Constitution. They're making a mockery of us that's disgraceful. And what they're doing right now is straight out treason. It's an attempted coup by corruption to a stolen election, in a sense making us a banana republic, which pretty much puts us in a delusional world like Oz, and where everything that we think we are is fake. Is that what we're going to settle for? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I support our president 100% in not backing down to this and holding his position. And in my opinion, I agree with the general who said he should enforce the Sedation Act and bring in the military and just start locking these people down, because it's pretty clear what's going on. It's pretty clear. But hopefully the Supreme Court will straighten this out and put Donald Trump back in the position he needs to be in, and we can get this resolved legally over the next 4 years, and hopefully get our nation on track to where, going forward in the best interest of the American posterity, we get back on track to the principles and values of being an American nation as what we were founded. But with that, I just want to say, I wanted to put the authoritarian is the difference between a democracy and a republic. In a republic, the authoritarian position rests with the people. In a democracy, it rests with the government. In a democracy, the government has authority and power over the people. The people are subject to the will of the government. In a republic, the authoritarian of power rests with the people. The government is subject to the consent and authorities and power granted them by the people, and are subject to do the will of the people. They don't have authority over the people. That's the great big difference between a democracy and a republic. And it's a difference we can't forget. And it's a difference that if you read the James Madison's Federalist Papers number 10, makes it pretty clear. He covers a large, it's a good, I think all the federal papers should be read by, everybody should read them, but that's a particular paper I think anyone should read that doesn't understand the difference between a democracy and a republic. And when you do read it, understand you have to read the Declaration of Independence and at least embrace the preamble of the United States Constitution and take into consideration our Bill of Rights. And when you read the Bill of Rights, the preamble, and the Declaration of Independence, and you look at what he's saying, and you kind of mold and understand how we have self-declared our right to being the authority of our own government as a government of the people, for the people, by the people, subject to the government of governing of the governed, for the people, by the people, of the people, and you understand that our rights that we self-proclaim are God-given and unbreachable. You can't affect these rights. They're self-evident. They're declared to be God-given rights, and we declare those rights. Not the government didn't give us those rights. The government didn't give us those rights. We declared those rights, and we put those rights as the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, subjecting the government to understand that they must honor and respect these self-evident rights. So this is what we have to understand. So I'm going to leave it at that. I just want to say that. Anybody has any questions, understand the only question you can ask me that's stupid is the one you don't. I don't know everything, but whatever you ask, I promise you I will do the research and try and get the best answer to you. And no matter how many levels I have to break it down to get you to understand it, I'm here to do that. That's what I want to do. Everybody here, you know, we all need to be together and helping each other understand as a community of one people of all equal. That's who we are, the Americans. But like I said, if anybody has any questions, pop them into the columns below. If I need to make another video, I'll make another video. If I can answer it in writing for you, I'll make it in writing. We can have a conversation, however it is. But understand, it's important we understand the difference between a democracy and a republic, and we stop calling America a democracy. America is a republic. I understand that we operate and function as a government, as the government itself within the specific forms operates and functions the same between a democracy and a republic. They operate the same. But the authoritarian position is what is the major difference that we cannot forget between a democracy and a republic. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my video. If you listened this far, I appreciate it very much. And that's all I have to say for today. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, feel free to comment below, and I'll do my best to answer it. If you want links or something I'll include links with this video to the Federalist Letters, so you can go and find that easy. I'll include a link to the Declaration of Independence in the Archives building, as well as the United States Constitution, so you can find that all real easy. And then you can go ahead and take a little bit of time, not to be sarcastic or idiot, but, people say, oh, I don't have a lot of time or whatever. They're not, the Declaration of Independence and Constitution is not a very big volume of information. It's very compact. You can fit it all within a pocket-sized little pamphlet, all of it. So it doesn't really, just take, read it. It's important for you to read it. When I was younger and I started reading the Constitution, I couldn't understand a dang thing. I just kept reading it over and over and over and over. Okay? And then eventually, as you grow and you get wiser and you read and you mature, you start to understand. It'll just start coming, and it's good to know. It's just good to know. It's your rights. It's your rights. You should know them. But again, thanks everybody for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, comment below. Thank everybody for taking the time to watch my video.